Hello, my name is Deborah, and I'm a leader with the Sisterhood of the Rose. Today I'm speaking again with Cobra, who is the chief intel provider for the resistance movement, where he offers important planetary and galactic information at his blog, 2012portal.blogspot.com. Welcome, Cobra, and thank you for doing this interview.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Yes, yes. Well, we have a very important special date coming up that many people are talking about, and that is December 21st. Not only is this the winter solstice or summer solstice for those in the southern hemisphere, but it's also the date of an important astrological conjunction, the grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. But what makes this conjunction extra special is that for the first time in over 200 years, it will happen in an air sign, the sign of Aquarius. This will complete the 2020 Age of Aquarius timeline stargate that opened in January of this year, launching us into the long-awaited Age of Aquarius. So, Cobra, there are so many significant factors taking place that day. Would you start out by telling us the importance of this day?
Okay, this is not just a regular grand conjunction, which actually happens every 20 years. As you have said, it is the first conjunction in an air sign, and specifically in a sign of Aquarius in about 200 years. It is the closest grand conjunction in about 600 or 800 years. And it is a conjunction that will be easily visible in the evening sky with naked eyes. Also, there are some other astrological configurations which are part of this grand conjunction, and this is especially the grand trine between Jupiter and Saturn, which are conjunct with Alcyone, which is the central star of the Pleiadian star cluster, and also trining the M87 galaxy in Virgo cluster, which is one of the most important extragalactic sources for the planetary evolution. And this grand trine will create super powerful energy flash going through our solar system and entering also towards the surface of the planet. And especially if we reach a critical mass, we will have a great flash of energy going through the surface planetary grid, and that will shift the timelines quite significantly if we reach the critical mass. And also, this grand conjunction happens few hours after the winter solstice. Winter solstice is actually a moment of very ancient goddess celebration, a festival. It is the turning from darkness into the light. It is the first board light of the new year, of the new cycle, which actually astrologically and esoterically begins on the 21st of December. So this is the actual New Year's Day. And this grand conjunction happens few hours after the New Year's Eve, which is very significant, astrologically speaking. So all those configurations are not all. We have a preparatory strong aspects coming starting from December 10th and ongoing. I have released details about this on my blog. So we have four major astrological configurations in December. Among those, and there are also some other less significant ones. There are too many to mention. So we will be having a very intense build up towards that day, and then a strong energetical breakthrough on December 21st.
Wow. So, because of all of these powerful alignments taking place this day, we're going to take advantage of it. There's an important synchronized global meditation taking place at the exact moment of the grand conjunction called the Age of Aquarius Final Activation Meditation. Can you discuss the purpose and intention of this meditation, please?
The intention and purpose of this meditation is to stabilize the positive timeline for this planet and is actually the entering trigger point for the Age of Aquarius. It is the first moment of the new birth of a new era, the first moment of a new cycle. At that moment, with our visualization and focused intent, we will plant a seed of a new, much better age for humanity. So this is a very important moment, and I hope that we are going to reach the critical mass and much more, so we can set the tone for the future planetary evolution on the surface of this planet.
Yes, yes. Well, if we reach or even exceed the critical mass, which is 144,000 people, what impact will we see in our physical world?
The first thing that will happen will be the beginning of the construction of the matrix construct on this planet. There are many advanced, exotic, negative technologies that are controlling humanity in the last 25,000 years, influencing our consciousness, scalar devices, electromagnetic fans, implants, biochips, different things that are parts of daily reality without people even realizing it, which have shut down our consciousness. And this is going to begin to be deconstructed on that day, future critical mass. So real cosmic light will begin to pour into the planetary sphere and onto the planetary surface. And this is the real great awakening. Humanity hasn't seen awakening like this since the times of Atlantis.
Wow. Does that mean some of the fog that light workers experience and their difficulty in connecting to source will be more clear?
This will finally be addressed. Those situations are expected to improve first slowly and then accelerate, improving drastically. So connection with the source, with positive energies, will be much easier. When the quarantine, all those technologies begin to clear, it will be much easier for us to connect with the source and with higher planes of existence.
Okay, good. Because I was curious, at what point will we start to see these effects? Can we expect to see or feel anything already in the first month or two?
Actually, at the moment of the meditation, there will be the first effect when people will be able to feel that flash of energy. And yes, the effects can definitely be felt within a month or two or even sooner. I can't give any exact estimates, but 1 or 2 month time frame will be a good description of where we can expect at least some energetic effects. And when there is a critical mass of energetic effects, this will precipitate on the physical plane as well.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Will there be a difference in the degree of impact if great numbers of people participate? For instance, if we can get 1 million people to participate versus a critical mass of 144,000.
The most important thing is reaching the critical mass. Whatever is over the critical mass is good, is beneficial, but the greatest change happens around the critical mass of roughly 144,000.
Okay. In order for more people to join our meditation, what should we tell them?
Many people who are alive right now have been born in this incarnation specifically for this mission to bring the new age of Aquarius into reality. And this is the key moment in their lifetimes, in our lifetimes, basically. It is the key moment where we can unify and create a statement in the energy field that will last forever.
Wow. So this is it. This is
yes,
what we've been waiting for. Wonderful. There are other December 21st meditations that are being announced at the same exact time of 6:22 p.m. UTC time that suggest for people to do a similar meditation but using different instructions or their own form of meditation. But for maximum success, wouldn't we all want to be focusing on the same thing? Would people meditating differently dilute this impact? And isn't it important that we synchronize not only our time but our focus?
Yes, ideally we would all have the same instructions to create a laser light focus, because laser light focus is what creates the most effect on the planetary quantum field. So that would be ideal situation. Of course, we're not in an ideal world, so whatever we achieve together will be also significant.
Okay, good. Many light workers have been hoping that because of these important alignments taking place on December 21st, that it would trigger the event. However, in your recent We Love Mass Meditation interview, you mentioned that it is not likely that the event will happen that day. There is just too much darkness still on the planet. And of course, this is disappointing. However, there is much good news that these powerful positive energies coming in can initiate huge changes that will expedite the arrival of the event. I know you've talked about this earlier, but can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I would say this meditation can stabilize the timeline, which means it can accelerate situations. It can make the event happen faster. It can make the time between now and the event more enjoyable and less stressful. So this is very important and quite significant.
Yes. You've mentioned that these energies will be transmitted through the critical mass of the surface population. Are you saying that the people participating in the meditation will become transmitters of this energy? And will we feel this? I mean, will it be uplifting or will some of us experience fatigue from this?
Actually, everybody participating in this meditation will be transmitters of this energy. They will connect consciously with that energy flash, and these energies will flow through their energy fields and through their bodies. And the vast majority of people will experience very uplifting, very positive and blissful experiences. Some of them will experience fatigue as a result of the detoxification process. And what is also important is for people to protect themselves before the meditation, to remove all unwanted negative presences. You can use that simply with a violet flame. Just visualize violet flame coming from the sky, going anti-clockwise to your energy field, removing all unwanted energy away from the energy field towards the center of the earth.
Oh, good. Thank you for sharing that. I imagine for people to transmit this energy, it's important to keep our vibrations high. Do you suggest trying to stay in a positive state of emotion, such as love, joy, compassion, or what suggestions do you have to prepare ourselves so that we can become the best transmitters that we can be?
Yes, there are a few things you can do. As you have said, it is good to focus on high vibrations around that time if possible. And the other thing that's also important is to set a space and time away from daily obligations around that time. So you are, if possible, that you are undisturbed and that you have your peace and quiet surroundings where you can surrender yourself to the meditation.
Beautiful. Let's plan to do that. What actions by the dark do you expect that could sabotage the success of this meditation? And you've mentioned that we protect ourselves before, during, and after, correct?
Yes. During the meditation, you're doing the meditation, but just before the meditation is actually part of the instructions. The violet flame is one step in the meditation itself, as it's published on the website. So everybody following those instructions will protect themselves as much as possible. And of course, the dark forces are not happy with this, and they're planning to do a few things. One of them is to create disinfo, to spread disinfo that meditation is dangerous, that it's hijacking it's somehow psychic energy and using it in a negative way. There have been always, until now, with all those major meditations, there have been people who were spreading disinfo about this, about the efficiency of those mass meditations. Some of those people were agents of the dark forces, some of them were just misled. And also sometimes after the meditation, the dark forces are trying to lower the vibrational frequency because the matrix itself is not happy when so much light enters the planet. But this time it can be different because if we reach a critical mass, the light forces can begin to start removing all those dark technologies immediately after the meditation. So we will see what will happen.
Okay, good. And that's a good reminder that people use discernment for, what they're seeing on social media and such regarding this meditation. Will the light forces be offering extra assistance and protection? Some sources say that they will be clearing negative entities from us in order that our vibration be as high as possible.
Yes, of course, the light forces will definitely be focusing a lot on assistance and protection around that time, and especially at the moment of the meditation.
Do the light forces and the members of the resistance movement meditate along with us during these important meditations?
Yes, of course, there will be groups in underground bases, positive underground locations of the resistance. There will be groups on the moon, groups on the motherships, in the Earth orbit, groups on the motherships on the solar system, groups in bases on Jupiter satellites, groups in bases on Saturn satellites. There will be many groups throughout the solar system and even groups in other star systems focusing their light towards the solar system. Actually, there will be even groups in galaxies beyond this galaxy. So it's a huge cosmic occurrence.
Wow. So we are in very good company doing this.
Yes.
Our intent with this meditation is to stabilize and secure a positive ascension timeline forever, which we hope is true. But is it possible this secured timeline could again be compromised and we would need additional meditations in 2021 to maintain or even correct it?
Uh, the situation is that we are still in the final battle until the exact moment of the event. So the Dark Ones, of course, will try to hijack the timelines again in 2021 as much as they can. But if we reach the critical mass, the timeline will be much more stable. There will be much less negative surprises, and so the final outcome will be much better. For example, we have reached the critical mass in the meditation in January, barely, but we have. If we would not have reached the critical mass in January, we would be in a totally different world right now. We would be in a new world order situation right now.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. So that's how important these meditations are. And as we all know, 2020 has been a year like no other, with the dark forces, as you said, working very hard to push their New World Order agenda, with the launch of the coronavirus and other nefarious actions. Will the energies coming in help to weaken and dissipate the current negative agenda and play on the planet? And what role does a successful meditation have in this? Is it likely that the situation on Earth would begin to improve quickly?
As I have said, the successful meditation will begin deconstructing the matrix construct on the planet and all those negative technologies, and also clear a lot of negative entities around the Earth. And without the support of those technologies and those entities, the dark forces on the surface will not be able to carry out their agenda as successfully as they have been before.
Okay, good. So now let's talk a little bit about the age of Aquarius. Some astrologers feel that the age of Aquarius starts around the year 2600, and some say it already started on December 21st, 2012. Why is there confusion around this, and why are you stating it starts this year on December 21st?
It is actually not confusion. These are just different points of view, because transition between the age of Pisces and age of Aquarius is gradual. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. And different astrologers have different opinion on when the exact demarcation point is. I have chosen this demarcation point simply because we are now at the peak of the planetary transformation, peak of the planetary liberation process. And this is a very good start because many planets and asteroids are leaving the Capricorn, entering Aquarius, and a lot of Aquarian energy will be present from now on for many years. And this is a complete shift of energy fields around this planet, which will bring significant, long-lasting changes.
Good, good. Now we've been in the age of Pisces and are now moving into the age of Aquarius. Could you clear up, because some people are confused about this, why does this cycle move in the opposite direction than we follow with our zodiac calendar?
Actually, those astrological ages are related to the precessional cycle, and the precessional cycle goes backwards. It went from Aries in Roman times to Pisces, and now it's exiting Pisces and entering Aquarius. What the vast majority of astrologers do not know is that astrology is not depicting only the fields of planets and fixed stars along the zodiac. It is actually depicting energy fields, so-called rays. There are combinations of 12 different rays which are related to zodiac signs, and those energy fields are of a galactic origin. And combination of those energy fields actually creates all those astrological influences we are experiencing.
Interesting. So how does the energy of Aquarius differ from the age of Pisces?
The age of Pisces was the age where the Catholic cult was most prominent. It was the era in which humanity was subjected to very intense religious programming. The age of Aquarius transcends this, and the first influence of this had been felt already 500 years ago with the beginning of the Renaissance. This was the first glimmer of the age of Aquarius, actually 500 years ago. And what is happening with this new influx of energies in the last 500 years is people are beginning to transcend external religious programming and are starting to find inner connection with the spirit. And this connection, if it is done in a positive way, can be very transformative. And this is what the age of Aquarius is all about. The dark forces are trying to misuse Aquarian energies with advertising their own religion, which is AI singularity. This is the religion of the dark forces on the surface of the planet. This is what they believe in merger between man and machine. And this is what their own version of the reset is all about. And Aquarian energy can trigger a purification of those ideas and those religious dogmas of the dark forces. So if we have our own divine connection with our own spirit, with our own higher self, we can transcend all this on a planetary scale. And this is what the age of Aquarius, what the beginning of the age of Aquarius is about.
Interesting. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, to what extent are the dark forces afraid of this Aquarian energy? You know, if this energy is so positive, would they, as you said, it sounds like they're going to try to misuse it. Would they try to destroy it or try to escape it?
They cannot destroy it because it's so powerful. It enters every pore of the surface of the planet. They cannot escape it because they have nowhere to go, so they have to face it. The only thing they're trying to do is to create as much fear as possible, because fear is a barrier against that energy. And this is the reason why they're creating all those lockdowns and all that fear propaganda about the virus, because they want to keep humanity in the vibrational frequency of fear as a shield against those Aquarian energies. And of course, those energies are of a galactic and extragalactic nature. No amount of their engineering can stop extragalactic energies from coming here.
Is there any negative or downside to the Aquarius energy? Is there anything that we need to be careful about?
Actually, over-dependence on technology, over-dependence on computers, on cell phones, that is a downside of the Aquarian energy. Detachment from emotions, coldness, that can be a downside of the Aquarian energy.
Wow. Well, that is definitely a problem in our society. So we definitely should be aware of that. With this Aquarius energy coming in, will our powers to manifest increase? And what can you recommend that would help us all use this, the positive side of this new Aquarius energy?
Actually, yes, because Aquarian energy will begin to fry the matrix. It will begin to clear the matrix. And when all those different elements of the matrix are gone, manifestation process will be much easier. And of course, the highest purpose is to focus on the most positive aspect of the Aquarian energy, and that is spiritual connection with your higher self. That's number one.
Okay. Is it true that those who choose service to others will move into this new age with grace, whereas those who choose to stay in service to self and separation mentality will find it hard to cope with these new energies?
Actually, in the old age, those who were serving the self were having much better time because they were part of the club. They were part of the negative forces, and it was harder for those who were not serving the self, who were serving the higher purpose, had a more difficult time. And after the liberation, this will completely turn around, and those who are following higher purpose will have much easier time. Whereas those who were serving only the self and were actually serving the dark will face the music.
Oh, excellent. You know, it's been interesting to watch Jupiter and Saturn as they move closer together in the sky towards their grand conjunction on December 21st, which, as you said, will create what many are referring to. It'll look like one star that we can see in the sky, and many are referring to it as the Christmas star. So let's talk a moment about these two main planets. How does Jupiter differ from Earth in its consciousness, and how does Saturn differ from Earth in its consciousness?
Jupiter is the great benefactor planet. It is a planet of expansion. It's a planet of happiness. And this is the energy Jupiter brings. It brings good luck. It brings expansion. It brings growth. It brings many good and wonderful things. Saturn brings contraction. It brings focus. It can bring difficulty. But those planets together are actually quite harmonized. Even theoretically speaking, conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn is not always very beneficial, but it can be, because contractive and expansive energies together can create a very interesting dynamic which can transform societies. And as we are approaching this grand conjunction, most of the planet is in under lockdown, which is a very Saturnian energy. And Jupiter visiting, saying hello, will start to turn the situation around.
Wow. Is that what makes the energy of these planets so powerful when they conjunct that it is referred to as grand?
Jupiter and Saturn are the largest two planets in the solar system, and it is the most of the mass of the solar system outside of the sun is concentrated in Jupiter and Saturn. And when they make a conjunction as visible from Earth, we have a strong scalar energy pulse from the direction of Jupiter and Saturn. Strong energy field is created, which definitely brings a transformation.
Good. As you mentioned, also on December 21st is the exact grand trine with Jupiter, Saturn, and Alcyone, our local central sun in the Pleiades, and M87 galaxy, which, as you said, a major galaxy in the Virgo cluster. They are all occurring in the signs of Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, respectively. What is the meaning and impact of this grand trine being in all three air signs?
It brings a very subtle and very strong cosmic energy to the surface of the planet. This is a very rare occurrence that so strong, so focused, and yet so uplifting energy can come all the way to the surface of the planet. It is a rare cosmic moment of upliftment.
Wow. One thing that's so exciting is that this grand trine will bring extremely powerful energies of cosmic love to the planet, as you've said, and that this flash of cosmic love energies originate from the M87 galaxy. Can you elaborate a little bit about the importance of this galaxy?
Yes, this galaxy has already sent a flash of cosmic love energy in one of the past mass meditations, Iron Portal meditation a few years ago. And it was one of the most wonderful energies that many of us have ever experienced. And this energy has not been present on this planet since, I would say, early 1980s. And it has briefly visited us during the moment of the Iron Portal, and it will come back again, this time much stronger.
Does the solar flash that will trigger the event need to come through the M87 galaxy before it reaches our galactic center? I mean, could this December flash be considered a dress rehearsal for the event?
The cosmic flash actually originates from the cosmic central sun, travels through different galactic clusters, and one of the major paths of that, how the energy travels, is through M87 galaxy towards the galactic center of this galaxy. So M87 galaxy is always included in that path because there is a very strong connection with our local galactic cluster and the Virgo galaxy cluster. So there is a strong cosmic plasma, hyperdimensional doorway between that galactic cluster and our local galaxy cluster. And there is whenever there is a important occurrence in this galaxy, there is a flash that travels from the Virgo galactic cluster because Virgo galactic cluster is overseeing the evolution of local galactic cluster.
I noticed that in the instructions for this meditation, we now pull the pillar of light also through the M87 galaxy. Should we be doing this in our daily meditations when we pull in a pillar of light, is to include the M87 galaxy?
That's a very good idea.
Okay, good. Is this flash of cosmic love energy an aspect of goddess energy?
It is a very high aspect of goddess energy. And goddess Iona, which came to Atlantis, brought goddess mystery, actually originates from M87 galaxy. She came from there, traveled to our galactic central sun of this galaxy, visited many planets, brought goddess mysteries to many star systems, especially in the inner regions of the galaxy, until she found herself on this planet 25,000 years ago.
Great. I will be speaking with you a little bit later in the interview more about the goddess energy. But for now, I'd like to talk with you a little bit about the galactic light forces. Our planetary and galactic situation is in a state of flux, and much for the future is unknown. But with these new energies coming in, can we expect the end of surprises and delays, like when the light forces found Chimera hiding in super quantum position? I mean, why is it that once an obstacle is cleared that we thought could trigger the event, new obstacles appear? I mean, this is causing much frustration in light workers, and many are actually losing patience and hope.
The thing is, there is so much darkness on this planet and around this planet that the light forces are releasing intel about this darkness step by step so people can process it, and also the light forces can process it. So delays are possible until the final moment, but the main delay is about the toplet bumps. This is the main limiting factor. And when this is addressed, all other factors that can potentially delay the event are much, much, much smaller. So things are converging towards the event. It's not delay after delay after delay, delaying into infinity. It's a convergence of smaller and smaller delays, of more and more clarity and less darkness until the breakthrough happens. This is another perspective which is quite important. And if people will have this perspective of convergence, they will not lose hope. They will not get frustrated because they will understand that we're getting closer. It's actually a spiraling movement towards the event.
Okay. And just to be clear, those remaining toplet bombs, they are in the quantum field, correct? Are they tied to, and they're tied to the implants?
Yes.
That are within humans? Okay. This quantum superposition, is it like another non-physical energy field? Is this a field that we should be including in our protection meditations when we clear and protect our plasma, etheric, astral, and mental energy fields?
It is not a non-physical energy field. It's actually a physical field, but it's on a quantum level. So it's a different dimension of things, I would say. And if you wish, you can include it in your daily practices if you wish.
Okay. Can you share with us, update us on what percentage of the chimeras left, both in ships and underground?
Yeah, the ships are gone. The chimera fleet is gone. It has been removed. So what is happening is now is clearing of their underground bases, which is in progress. I cannot give percentage, but I would say that their fleet, their starships, spaceships are gone. They are not. The chimera is not able to live they are not able to go beyond low Earth orbit. It's not possible because the Galactic Confederation can stop them and remove them.
Okay, good. You had not mentioned the Chimera Spider Queen until quite recently on your blog. Now that she is gone, are there people on the surface who no longer have anyone to worship, referring to some of the female members of the Dark Forces? Are they lost now? Have they lost their power?
The thing is, most of those dark females did not have any real contact with the queen, so this was just an idea for them. It is the same situation where when Satan was removed to the central sun, there are still many people worshiping that entity, although that entity does not exist anymore. So they are worshiping a thought form, an idea. It's an idea which they're worshiping.
And in doing
this, is to the idea, not to the actual being, which does not exist anymore.
Okay, and in doing this, are they basically keeping that alive energetically?
They are keeping the thought form alive to a certain degree, yes.
Does it have any power then?
It has some power, but much less than the original entity.
Okay. Another question. People claim that they are seeing light ships in the sky. Are these actual light ships revealing themselves? And then why do certain people see them and others don't? Will we have an increase in more people being able to see them in the new age of Aquarius? I know many light workers are starting to feel like they're being strung along and are tired of going on blind faith without any tangible proof that the light forces exist.
Okay, what's happening is since the Chimera fleet has been cleared away, that the light forces are showing their ships a little bit more and they're coming closer. They are showing themselves sometimes when it is safe. There is an unfortunate situation that many of the key light workers are too important, and if they would have a physical experience with the ships, they would be drastically attacked by the dark. So for their own protection, light forces are not showing themselves yet. This will change again drastically after the event. So the key light workers will be the first ones to be contacted when it is safe. And they will be contacted quite directly and quite dramatically.
Will they be contacted physically?
Yes.
Interesting. Can you share with us right now how close are these galactic confederation ships to the surface?
Ships can come quite close. I would say the vast majority of them are right now in low Earth orbit. Some of them are stretching out towards through the whole sublunar space. And of course, there is a vast fleet beyond sublunar space throughout the solar system, which is already in their final position, just with their finger on the trigger to start the event. So what is happening closer to the low Earth orbit, I'm not at liberty to comment as of yet.
Okay. Recently in the mainstream media, news came out that a retired Israeli general disclosed that there is a galactic confederation, that aliens exist and have been in contact with Israel and the US for years, but have kept it a secret because they didn't feel humanity was ready. What's the purpose of this disclosure, especially since it was done through the mainstream media?
It is part of the Light Forces plan for disclosure. They want to disclose as much as possible. Of course, there is a lot of resistance in the mainstream media, but this managed to slip through. And there will be more and more situations like this when those bits of disclosure can happen, especially after the Chimera fleet is gone. So now it is much easier to disclose things like this.
Excellent. You mentioned that as liberation, well, you mentioned that after the event, light workers would be contacted. Is there a chance that prior to the event, as situations improve, that Ashtar Command will contact light workers potentially with their missions for during and after the event?
This is extremely unlikely because it will not be safe. People can be contacted in their dreams. They might see ships from the distance, but this is as far as it can go.
Okay. Many are using command 1221 with positive results. Once we state this command, how long will our team be with us? Can we invoke them numerous times a day? And is it always necessary to state this command out loud? And if so, why is that? Because the other commands state that we do them silently in our head.
Okay, command 1221 is actually an invocation which brings you immediate attention of your team. So whatever is happening in your life, if there is a situation where you need your team to assist you, this will be like a SOS call for them. When they receive this command, they immediately start checking your situation, what's going on, and they take action. And you can invoke them as often as you feel guided or whenever you wish. If you do it aloud, it's more powerful because the sound vibration manifests more possibilities for intervention on the physical plane.
Does this also apply to the other commands, such as 771, in terms of saying it out loud, having more power?
Yes. You can actually say them out loud, all of them.
Okay. And will command 1221, will that stay the same and keep the same name even after December 21st?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
All the command names will stay the same.
Okay. Question about where are the souls going now of people who die? Are they met by the Ashtar ships to be held until the event? Or are the Archons still guarding them and putting the soul back into the reincarnation cycle?
Unfortunately, the Archons are, of course, still guarding. This is still part of the Matrix construct. So people who die are intercepted by the Archons and are still kept in the incarnation cycle.
What will happen to these souls after the event?
All that will be restructured. The astral plane, the mental plane, all those planes will be restructured, and souls who are inhabiting those planes will be contacted, and many will be evacuated or taken to other planets. Some of them will reincarnate in their new body with a new purpose on planet Earth, but all this will be healed. All this will be aligned with the highest purpose.
Very good. I'd like to speak to you now a little bit about some current events. And of course, a prime concern on everyone's mind is the COVID-19 vaccine. Those people who are asleep wonder anxiously when they can get it, thinking it will allow them to get back to their normal lives, while those who are awake wonder anxiously how they cannot get it. But on all sides, it feels like we are currently living in a science fiction movie with desperate actions of the dark to rush in their New World Order dystopian agenda and to keep the masses entrenched in fear. Is the dark rushing their plan because of the higher planetary vibration that the Age of Aquarius brings, that will expedite the arrival of the solar flash in the event?
Actually, yes, the dark forces are aware of the event coming, of the age of Aquarius, of the solar flash, of the galactic flash. They are all aware. I mean, the top leaders of the dark forces are aware of this, and they are afraid of it. They know that this is going to happen, and they would like to prevent it. And actually, the fact that they have executed their plans in this year, it means that they know it is coming soon. It is a sign of their despair and their fear, and not a sign of their strength. They have activated their plans because they know that this is coming soon, and this is what they're doing to prevent it.
And of course, we know they won't be able to prevent it, correct?
Of course, they will not be able to prevent it. They can bring us some very difficult moments, but they will not be able to prevent the planetary evolution and planetary liberation. It's not possible.
Okay, okay. Well, until the event happens, will these powerful incoming energies on December 21st be enough to dispel their plan for mass vaccination before it becomes too dangerous for humanity?
What those new energies will do, they will correct the timeline. Exactly how this battle will play out, it's not possible to predict. There are simply too many variables, too many different factors in play. And one of very important factors is how light workers will be following their missions in general. Actually, in 2019, many of the key light workers made crucial mistakes, made stupid decisions, did some very, very ugly things. And this is one of the reasons why this dark plan was even able to go that far. So actions have consequences. So it's much is in the hands of the people, especially key people on the surface of the planet.
Yes, yes. And therefore important to do things like mass meditations. Is the effect that we could have for some of these nefarious plans, is that effect proportionate to the number of people that participate in the meditation? Like, I know you said critical mass was the most important, but if we can get 1 million or more people meditating, will that help to dispel some of these nefarious plans?
Every single person that meditates can shift a certain situation. So it's really important to get as much people as possible to meditate.
Okay. Going back to the coronavirus, to what extent is it a scam at this point?
The virus is real. The situations which are engineered, the distortion of data, the distortion of facts around the virus, it's actually part of the agenda. So the dark forces are using this virus to engineer the planetary situation towards a darker future.
Okay. So just be aware of that. I mean, keep yourself safe, but don't believe everything you hear, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Lockdown measures are beginning to be implemented again. Has the daily lockdown meditation helped to delay them to an extent, and should we continue to do it? And also, what about the weekly end coronavirus meditation?
Yes, of course, the anti-lockdown meditation had quite significant results because there are people around the planet, especially in certain positions in the governments, who are openly resisting those lockdowns. So it is very good to continue with that meditation and also to continue with the anti-coronavirus meditation to reduce the spread of the virus. Both meditations are still very important.
Okay. Now let's discuss another much talked about topic around the world, and that is the US election. You've stated that the light forces communicate that whoever becomes a president, it will not influence the overall plan for planetary liberation. Is this because the new age of Aquarius energies will neutralize any nefarious actions of whoever is in office? Or is there another plan that will involve neither candidate, possibly that we will have another election?
The planetary liberation plan, the event plan, the mass arrest plan does not include the President of the United States.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying that there this person would have no influence and it really doesn't matter.
I mean, the president can have some influence, but people who are really deciding what is going to happen when the mass arrests happen is not the president of the United States.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned that there's a transition happening in the US. Could this possibly be moving to a different form of government? I mean, does it have anything to do with the election fraud? You've stated that both the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence will have an important role in the events which are about to occur in the United States in the next few months and which will have global impact. Can you share what those events are, or what can you say about this whole situation?
What is very important, which is happening now, is the exposure of the election fraud. This has created certain conditions in global consciousness. People are much more aware how corrupt politics really is. And this creates certain conditions in which it is much easier to trigger the event. So it's part of the global awakening process.
Okay, good. Wondering if this is at all related. Many people follow Charlie Ward, who recently stated that General Flynn will lead 17 military nations in the largest military operation in the world to restore freedom and human rights across the planet, with mass arrests of every corrupt criminal, no one excluded. We will be under U.S. military law for them to abide by the law established in 1776 by the Declaration of Independence. Every nation will then be free. Can you confirm or deny that there is a multi-nation military sting operation underway to arrest the cabal? Are any mass arrests currently being carried out, and will the Galactics be involved with any operations on the surface?
Actually, there is a plan for the mass arrests, but they are not happening yet. So this is what you have just read is, I would say, correct to a certain degree, but the mass arrests, when they will really happen, this will be public knowledge. It will not be on so-called authority websites. It will be everywhere with evidence, with photos, with everything.
Okay, but you can confirm that there is a multi-nation military sting operation underway?
I would say there is an alliance of some top brass in militaries of the United States, China, Russia, and some other countries, which is involved in the planetary mass arrest operation. How far that operation is right now, or what's actually happening, it is not to be revealed at the moment.
Okay. You stated in the We Love Mass Meditation interview that we are not yet in a place where Delta option would be initiated. Is Delta option something that will likely happen, or might we be able to bypass that option?
It is possible that the Delta option will be triggered. There are many factors which contribute to that decision, and decision has not been made yet. The conditions are not right yet for that. And if that happens, you will know. It will be obvious.
Will the Age of Aquarius energies help to subside that option?
I would not say they would subside that option. They would just make decisions clearer. It will make the plans more aligned, more harmonized, more effective, and whatever needs to happen will happen when the time is right.
Okay. Okay. So they actually may help it. Um, should either Biden or Trump be declared a final winner and put in office, might we expect nationwide rioting, and could that lead to implementing martial law? I mean, have the chances for U.S. civil war increased or decreased?
Those chances have slightly decreased now, right now about, I would say, about 25, 26%.
Okay. And what about the rioting that could potentially take place or martial law?
Rioting is possible because it has been engineered by certain, I would say, factions. Martial law is also possible, but martial law can have many different meanings. There are many different reasons behind that martial law. Actually, martial law can be part of the Delta option plan, or it can be part of the event plan as well.
Okay. So it can be used for either positive or negative circumstances.
Exactly.
Let's talk for a moment about the financial situation. We know that the light forces have plans to reset the financial system at the time of the event, But the dark forces have plans of their own for the global financial reset in their attempts to create a one world financial system. You indicated again in your We Love Mass Meditation interview that this would not happen, but that the dark forces will do whatever they can do to bring us as close as possible. So, curious, what does as close as possible look like? Is it necessary for us to take any precautions now? And if so, what do you suggest?
Okay, again, we are in this final battle of timelines, and it's very hard to predict how far the dark plan will go. So it's impossible to say. Again,
Okay.
the more we do our work, the more we align our meditations and our daily actions, the more people make their voice known, expose what's happening, share information, do whatever is necessary, the more we can avoid those negative scenarios.
Okay, good. And a curious question, what about the mysterious triangular metallic monolith pillar that was found in a remote Utah desert in the US that made world news, especially after it also disappeared 2 weeks later? And then at the same time, it happened on the other side of the world in Romania, and then another appeared in California. What's the story behind these monoliths? Are they just a hoax? Are they signs from the galactics like crop circles, or could they be something used for nefarious purposes?
These monoliths are part of an artistic project, and the fact this artistic project made news right now is a sign of the incoming Aquarius energy. This is precisely the energy of the age of Aquarius. The energy of those monoliths connects us to the mystery of the universe. It brings the memories of Space Odyssey movie. It brings connections to the old memories of Atlantis, so it's part of the global awakening.
Oh, interesting. Well, mystery solved. I'd like to speak to you now about healing and our spiritual practice, especially since the 11/11 portal date. Many people, especially light workers, are reporting extreme fatigue, headaches, dizziness, nausea, intense body vibrations, and a strong elevation of painful symptoms. Is this due to the extreme intensity of the energy waves hitting the planet from the unusual and increasing solar flares?
No, it is part of the, I would say, final battle where the light forces are removing the dark and the dark are fighting back. So many entities are attacking the light workers, and all those technologies, scalar technologies, are creating most of those symptoms.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Um, but there are recorded increased solar flares. Are these coming in preparation for the approaching event, possibly to acclimate our bodies a little at a time?
No, this is just the beginning of the new solar cycle, which solar minimum is just behind us, and we are now slowly beginning to enter the new solar cycle.
Okay. Could some of the fatigue that light workers are experiencing could be caused by being involved in galactic operations and battles in the astral plane while sleeping?
Yes, to a certain degree.
Okay, yeah, because many people are reporting dreams of participating in activities like that. Um, and many light workers also are experiencing insomnia or disruptive sleep. Would any of the current protocols like Command 771 or 1221 help with this? Or do you have any other suggestions?
Yes, those protocols would help a lot. They can help a lot.
Okay. So to just invoke them prior to sleeping would help?
Yes, yes.
Many people are full of negative emotions recently. What are the reasons? And could you give some advice? Is this due to, as you mentioned, those scalar weapons?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Is it possible that the light forces can establish a protocol that we can use to help protect us from the attacks from dark entities?
One of the most effective things is to invoke the violet flame and invoke those commands you can call your team command 1221 and demand protection.
Okay.
You can use the pillar of light. There are some other protection techniques. Some of them have been published on the blog already years ago.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Is it true that some high vibrational individuals get left alone by the dark? Do we become more invisible to the dark the more we raise our vibration?
That will be true when enough of this matrix construct is removed.
Okay, good to know. Emotional wounding and triggering can cause our vibration to lower. In addition to doing the Command 771 protocol, do you have any other suggestions for helping us to heal our emotional bodies?
There are many healers that can use various techniques to help heal the emotional body, and people who have emotional trauma can use those different healing modalities and can visit the healers to assist in that process.
Okay. You mentioned that implant removal will begin after December 21st, which is great news. At what point will we be able to feel the results of this, and what will that feel like?
Again, as you have said, that can be expected in a month or two, and the results will be much easier connection with your higher self, and you will feel much better overall as a result of more light in your energy field.
Okay, good. What will happen after the Age of Aquarius energies come in to those who are spiritually awakened, and what about those who are not spiritually awakened?
For those who are spiritually awakened, it will be a great push forward. It will be, as I said, easier for them to connect with the source, with the higher self, and those who are not awakened will have more of I would say, an earthquake experience, where emotional earthquake experience, because those new energies will start triggering suppressed emotions. And especially as more of the matrix construct is removed, those energies will trigger people. Everything that has been suppressed will start coming to the surface.
Okay, so it's important that we have compassion for what
Yes.
they're going through. Some light workers claim they are now living in 5D, but many have yet to experience it. Will it be easier after December 21st to access the 5D energy? And can you describe what the 5D energy feels like?
Yes, it will be easier. As more and more of the implant is gone, it's easier to connect with those higher dimensional energies. And fifth dimensional energies are energies of bliss, of light, of love. I mean, everybody who has been working on themselves have experienced those energies at some point in their lives.
Yes, 5D energy is definitely blissful. But since we're still in 3D bodies living a 3D experience, what suggestions do you have to manage living in 3D once you have experienced a glimpse of 5D, since the 3D world can feel so heavy and chaotic?
It is the purpose after you have experienced 5D energies to anchor those energies in your physical body, in your physical surroundings. So those energies came to be anchored, to be integrated in the physical world.
Okay. Even though the Earth will not be physically splitting, as you said in our last interview, while we are transitioning until the time of the event, will there be a large timeline split developing between those who identify with the old Earth and those who identify with the new Earth? Some say that those living in the new Earth will not even be able to witness or be affected by the chaos of the dismantling old Earth. Is this true?
Well, I would say this is an exaggeration. I would say that those who are more aligned with 5D energies will have a more spiritual experience, a more peaceful experience. And those who are clinging to the old world will have a much more difficult process, but it will still be the same physical reality, outer reality for both types of people. Although those who are more connected with the higher self will have a much easier time in their transition.
Okay. We know it's crucial to connect to our higher self during these times. But as you mentioned, scalar weapons and other nefarious means create a disconnection. How can we better achieve this connection?
Yeah, it is good to meditate, to connect with nature, and to connect what is good and beautiful.
Okay. You mentioned that in a recent operation, that Ashtar Command repositioned motherships for their final position and are ready to transmit energies to trigger the event and remove remaining darkness. How can we better receive these energies? If we receive them, will it give some strength back to light workers to be ready for their missions during the final breakthrough?
Yeah, to connect with those motherships, you have to expand your consciousness beyond lunar orbit. And if you manage to do that, you will be able to feel the energy of those motherships, and they can send you some healing, and they can rebalance your energy field as well.
How do you suggest we do that, expanding our consciousness beyond lunar? You said the lunar orbit?
Yes.
No. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Just go in your meditation, and you can just travel in your mind, in your meditation. You can travel, you can visualize going beyond lunar orbit and see what happens.
Oh, Gotcha. Okay. Will we receive any healing before the event so that we can effectively take our leadership role to help humanity navigate the higher energies and disclosure that the event will bring?
Yes, the healing process will begin as soon as there is enough of this negative technology removed. The healing energies will begin to flow through gradually. But full healing can only happen after the event.
Okay. Um, and I would like to ask you some questions about the event in Ascension. You said that one of the obstacles to the event is that there is not enough unity among light workers, that if we could become more unified, we would create a strong harmonic resonance field that would allow the light forces to do things faster and more efficiently. Is that because light workers carry a higher vibrational frequency and when unified, it is magnified? What happens to this frequency when there's dissonance between light workers?
Light workers are actually beings who have volunteered at some point to come here to this planet to lift the vibration of the planet. And if most of them are fighting among each other, it's obvious that this will create drastic consequences in the planetary energy field.
Okay. Okay. Well, you'll be happy to know that there is a project in the making that will help unify light workers significantly, as well as increase the goddess energy. So have to stay tuned for that. Um, as we understand it, the primary obstacle to the event currently is the quantum toplet bombs. Um, can you tell us what, like, the percentage of what's left of those, or any time frame on when they might be removed?
No, I cannot answer this question.
Okay. But you have said that they are easier to remove than the plasma ones, which were cleared earlier this year due to the
Yes,
excess of one of our meditations. Yeah. Um, does that mean once the majority of the remaining quantum toplets are cleared, even if there's still primary anomaly or chimera or archons present, can the event still happen? And could there be any other surprises that show up? I know you said it is possible since we're still in a war.
it is possible, but those surprises will be minor. It will be much easier to clear and it will take much less time.
Mm-hmm. And can the event can still happen if there is some primary anomaly or chimera
Yes,
archons?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because they will be going to the galactic central sun anyway, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I have to ask, how uncomfortable and dangerous can it get before Source triggers the event? Is it likely that we will be having to live in the dystopian society planned by the Cabal before the event occurs? Will we have to experience things like food shortages, additional pandemics, surveillance tracking, 5G, global poverty, or a one world government?
Uh, their plans, all those dark plans will not be successful in their entirety, but smaller aspects of those plans are already active now. So this can go a bit further, but I don't expect it to go much further than what we are having now.
Okay, well, that's good news. Um, will you be sharing at some point a detailed description of the nucleation phases 4, 5, and 6?
It is planned, but again, I will not give you any promises because people are too attached to what I say, and if it doesn't happen exactly on the day I say it's going to happen, there are problems. So I would say this is planned to be described in detail, but I would not say when or how.
Okay. Um, what are some signs that we can expect that the event is coming closer?
Definitely strong positive energies and more and more disclosure in the media and a lot of interesting developments on the planetary geopolitical scene.
And I believe you mentioned that once the event is getting close, there will be an accelerated amount of activity.
Yes, yes.
Okay, on the surface. Um, are we still on track for the event to happen as previously explained, or has there been a change? Will it be still triggered by a huge solar flash, or, as some people speculate, has the timeline collapsed and it is now coming in many mini solar flashes that will continue until 2025?
It will not be a solar flash. It will be, I would say, a galactic pulse, which is not yet a big solar flash which creates the cataclysm. So when the event happens, there will be no global cataclysm, but there will be a strong flash of energy, and the plan is still the same.
Okay. How will different people experience it? For instance, awakened light workers or dysfunctional people, asleep people, or those who do not wish to change. Will the implants and programming automatically resolve at this time, or will people still need to do the work themselves?
The awakened people, for them, it will be a very joyful experience. For those who have been in denial, will have to face whatever they have denied, and implants will for sure be cleared to a certain degree, but there will still be work that will need to be done. People will have to do this work by themselves. And of course, with the assistance of the light forces.
Okay. After the event, will our carbon-based bodies be replaced by crystalline bodies?
No.
And if so, is that transformation happening already to some who maintain a high vibration?
No.
What changes will we notice, and could this be contributing to the fatigue that some are feeling?
We are all still in carbon-based bodies.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Yes.
Because some light workers are talking about how they're becoming crystalline. So this is not until after the event, correct?
This is actually an idea which is not entirely correct. So I will not go deeper into this right now, but the whole idea itself, it's actually a reflection of the idea of the light body, but this goes beyond the scope of this interview.
Okay, thank you. According to the Matrix 4 book by Val Valerian, at the moment of the event, all artificial objects made of synthetic materials that don't exist in nature will disappear. He says this has happened before, and it's the reason archaeology can't find any remnants of advanced tech from ancient civilizations. Is any of this true?
The event will not make artificial objects disappear. The reason archaeologists cannot find the remnants of plastic is because plastic can last for about 500 years, whereas marble can last for millions of years, or even thousands to millions of years. Most metals can last for a few thousand years at least. So, of course, if anybody would be, for example, using plastic in Egyptian times, that plastic would be long gone.
That makes sense. People are curious what life will look like for the awakened light workers during and after the event. Will we be busier than ever helping people deal with the disclosures and fulfilling our missions? Or will we be whisked off to some galactic paradise for rest and healing?
This will be quite individual. Certain people have been overworked and are on the verge of collapse. They will need healing and rest, and some people will be bursting with enthusiasm after the event and will be just running around, helping everybody, awakening everybody. So it's very individual.
Okay. And will we be able to choose?
Of course.
Good. For the light workers who are awakened and, as you said, worn out from tirelessly working hard for planetary liberation, will they receive any type of priority consideration by the light forces when it comes to distribution of funds, healing and anti-aging technologies, etc.? And do the light forces know of the contribution of these light workers? How are these people identified? Is it based on their vibration? And who exactly is it that gets to make the decisions as to how and who to distribute everything to?
The light forces are monitoring the activity of all the light workers in this liberation process, and those who have been contributing the most are on the top priority list, and those are the ones who will be contacted first, and also those who are in a great need of healing will also be among those who are contacted first.
Okay, and at what point after the event will we have access to some of those things?
Distribution of this will start immediately after the event, and there will be a priority list, there will be sequences, there will be protocols, and everything will go according to those protocols.
Okay. Can you talk a bit about med beds and the rejuvenation technology that will be available after the event? Again, how soon will after the event, will they be available? And are med beds only effective in healing the diseases of physical and energetic bodies, or is it possible for them to completely reverse and stop the aging process?
Okay, this technology that people call med beds is actually a technology that has been around the galaxy for quite some time, and it can reverse the aging process, it can heal the disease, it can repair the energy bodies, it can repair the physical bodies, and this will start to be distributed at some point after the event where there is enough consciousness for that. And again, the first who will be given those technologies are the light workers, and then it will slowly begin to precipitate towards the general population.
Okay. Is it likely that the transition to the event will be peaceful if we can reach critical mass for the December 21st meditation?
It is much more likely that it will be peaceful, yes.
Okay, good. it will be good to hear about the Ascension plan, which in our last interview you mentioned had changed. And you had recently indicated that you would be releasing information about that update after December 21st. But a question, because it seems like the ascension process cannot be described clearly by any resource, or the limited amount of information that's conveyed to the surface population has little or no similarities. Why is everything so vague and mysterious? I mean, why do the galactic races, which are millions of years ahead of us in evolution, why are they not able to describe this process clearly?
It is a problem of channeling because most people who appear or they claim to be having contact do not have real contact, and very few people who have contact with the light forces have not been trained enough to understand the ascension plan. So there are very few people who have received bits and pieces of the ascension plan, and the whole plan. This is one reason. Well, this is one reason. The other reason is parts of the plan have been classified because dark forces could misuse them. So after December 21st, I'm expecting much more of this to be released. I will release one part of it, and this will start becoming more of a common knowledge when the energies get better and more of the darkness is removed.
Okay, good. We are looking forward to that report. At what point after the event will we begin to create and live in islands of light? Is connecting with and uniting with other light workers a step we can take now to begin this process? And how will these islands of light be formed? Is it up to us to organize our own, or will we have guidance and support from the light forces?
Islands of light will begin to be created immediately after the event, where when light workers will begin to receive enough guidance and assistance to create them properly. Because right now, I simply think there is not enough consciousness on the surface of the planet for any group to be able to manifest something like this.
Okay. After the event, will there be a film or documentary explaining all the galactic history up until the planetary liberation? And will the surface population be guided to make these type of films, or will this be done solely by the light forces or the resistance movement?
This material has already been prepared by the resistance and it will be released through the mass media. Actually, some of the major publishing houses, some of the major newspapers, TV stations already have this material somewhere on their computers locked and hidden, and it will be activated remotely at the moment of the event, and people will be able to see those movies.
Oh, we look forward to that.
Some of this material has also been prepared by the positive military. This is another aspect of this, and this will also be broadcast at the moment of the event.
Okay. But I'm sure people on the planet will be inspired to create some of their own projects as well, correct?
Of course, of course.
Okay. I would like to take our last few minutes to talk about the goddess and Sisterhood of the Rose. So you stated that far too little goddess energy exists on the planet and that we need much, much, much more. So let's talk about how we might do that and bring awareness as to exactly what this energy is, because the goddess energy has been very misunderstood in our society. You know, men want to be with one and women want to look like one, you know, usually by posing in sexy pictures and calling themselves a goddess. But unfortunately, that's about as deep as it goes. Even some of the Sisterhood of the Rose members do not fully understand the concept of the goddess. So can you explain who actually is the goddess? Is she the cosmic central sun or the feminine aspect of source, or what is meant by the goddess?
The feminine aspect of the source is, I would say, the closest description as you can have for the goddess. And goddess energy has many aspects. Some of those aspects are connected with physical beauty. Some of those aspects are connected with a mothering principle. Some of those aspects are connected with compassion. So there are many different manifestations of goddess energy, and all of them are equally important, and all of them are part of the same source, which is the feminine aspect of the one.
Okay. So the goddesses that we know from tales, history, etc., they are depicted as beautiful women who have much power and special abilities. Are these high-level beings who embodied the goddess energy and then incarnated on Earth and other planets for specific purposes?
Yes, there were many beings from different star systems that incarnated as goddesses on the surface of the planet and brought goddess mysteries. And these are known in various myths and tales from history. And this is exactly these are exactly the beings who brought the goddess energy to the planet.
Okay. Are all these goddess beings ascended masters or fifth dimensional or higher?
Many of them are now, but they were not ascended at the moment when they came to the Earth. Most of them were not.
Okay. Okay. But they are all of the light,
Yes, of course.
of course. Um, what is the best way to connect with the goddess? Is it directly with the goddess source or through one of these beings?
The best way would be to combine both, because both aspects are different aspects of the goddess energy.
Okay. Is goddess energy the most powerful energy in existence, the highest vibration possible? I believe that you said that archons are allergic to goddess energy and that that fully embody this energy cannot be touched by them. Does this mean that by embodying the energy of the goddess, we can have greater immunity from attacks?
I would say there is the feminine aspect of the source and there is the masculine aspect of the source, and both aspects together create a source which is the most powerful energy in existence. And yes, the archons are allergic to goddess energy, and if you really absolutely completely embody goddess energy, then you are protected. But if you are in the process of embodying it, you can trigger an allergic reaction of the archons.
Yes, yes. As many have experienced over different lifetimes. Um, why do some people naturally express and exude more goddess energy than others? Have they been goddesses in previous lifetimes?
Some people have been priestesses and priests of the goddess in past lifetimes, and of course, it's much easier and more natural for them to connect with the goddess energy.
Okay. Can people who are not incarnated goddesses also exude this energy?
Um, Basically, there are no incarnated goddesses on the surface of the planet right now, but people who are in connection with the goddess energy are many, and they, of course, exude that energy to a certain degree.
Okay. Many people think that the goddess presence is something that only women can invoke, but how can men also increase her presence?
In exactly the same way as a woman can, they can connect with her presence in their meditations. All those protocols, all those meditations, all those ways are open for men as well, except from being a woman, of course, because if somebody's in a male body, he is not in a female body, but everything else is open to everybody.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to speak with you about some of the ways that we can invoke this goddess energy since it's so important that we have more of it on the planet. So if you could comment briefly on each of these things. Exhibiting qualities of the goddess, like being more loving, caring, nurturing, is that's one way to embody the goddess, yes?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Okay, and then gathering and uniting with others to honor and invoke the goddess, as we do in Sisterhood of the Rose groups.
Yes, of course.
Um, bringing more beauty into our lives.
Yes, of course.
Doing the goddess vortex, and if you could just explain briefly how this technology works.
Goddess Vortex is an ancient Atlantean meditation which creates a vortex of energy, which actually invokes goddess energy towards the surface of the planet. This meditation has been posted on the blog and also on the Sisterhood of the Rose website. So this is one of the most powerful techniques to invoke the goddess energy.
Okay, and what about clearing ourselves of negative sexual programming?
This is also a very important part because it unblocks the flow of Kundalini energy, and Kundalini energy is very connected with the goddess presence.
Will it be easier to do this in the Aquarian energies?
Yes.
Okay, good. And what about using goddess statues or pictures, kind of like as a shrine?
Yes, goddess statues and pictures are anchors of the goddess energy, and you can use them as a tool for you to easier connect with those energies.
Okay. What would happen if everyone connected to the goddess energy on a daily basis?
We would be living in paradise right now.
I knew you were going to say that. To understand the true energy of the goddess, are there any books you can recommend?
There are quite many books about the goddess energy. Some of them are approaching this more from a history perspective. For example, books from Maria Gimbutas or Chalice and the Blade from Ryan Eisler. Or there are books about the sacred prostitutes. There are other books as well. So there are many of them. You can just use your own guidance which to read.
Okay. And a few questions more about Sisterhood of the Rose. Can you tell us if there will be any changes with the groups in 2021 with the new Aquarian energy coming in? Will our focus change? And also, will it be easier to connect and gain members in spite of possible restrictions that may keep us from meeting in physical groups?
Yes, there might be some changes coming because there are certain activations expected in the planetary energy grid that will be quite powerful and quite important. And the focus can change, and those new instructions will be released when the time is right, and if the time is right.
Okay. Will there be a point either before or right after the event where Sisterhood of the Rose leaders or members will be contacted by the light forces or the resistance movement as to their role and missions there to take at the time? And will one of those roles be to teach the mysteries of the goddess? And if so, how will these teachings be transmitted?
Yes, immediately after the event, those leaders of the groups will be contacted and they will be given certain instructions. And part of those instructions will be to start teaching the mysteries of the goddess according to their understanding. And they will be given new techniques, new revelations, and some of those will be quite powerful and quite transformative, but also quite shocking.
Okay. Um, People, of course, are very curious about soulmates and the sexual energy connected with them. They are important aspects of the goddess and important to both the liberation of the planet and ascension. So now that the Spider Queen has been removed, will it make it easier for soulmates to find each other and have healthy, peaceful relationships that can then anchor more divine love to assist us in moving toward liberation and ascension?
Theoretically, yes, but practically speaking, there are some other obstacles that need to be cleared as well.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions on how we might attract a soulmate at this point? And does invoking the goddess energy assist with this?
Doing the goddess vortex meditation is the fastest and most efficient way to manifest a soulmate in your life.
Interesting. If only more people knew that, right? Can you share your perspective on how male-female marriage relationships can anchor the divine feminine and masculine principle in today's society, especially light workers who are feeling sexual-based attacks?
Original archetype of marriage is an archetype of divine union between twin souls. And people who are consciously married can begin to anchor that archetype in their marriage, and their union can be accelerated by consciously embodying that during sexual moments or during everyday moments. And sexual-based attacks from the dark forces will diminish if such couples can follow that protocol of connecting with their higher self in their daily life, of creating harmony between them, and protecting themselves in every moment.
Okay. Is it necessary that a couple be married?
No.
Okay. And a quick question about Sintamani stones. It's been suggested that the Sister of the Rose groups use the Sintamani stone as the center stone in a mandala when meeting. How are Sintamani stones linked to the goddess energy?
Sintamani stones come from the Sirius star system, and Sirius star system is one of the major star systems that can transmit goddess energy in this part of the galaxy.
Okay. Very good. Well, Cobra, we have talked about so much here. I appreciate everything we've discussed. In closing, can you share some inspiring words to our people in terms of getting through this time now before the event through until planetary liberation?
Okay, the first good news is that the year 2020 is almost over, and a year like this will never happen again. So this is the first good news. The second good news is we are preparing this great meditation, and it's a huge opportunity for us to make a big step forward. And we are really getting closer. So we have just to continue until we are victorious.
Yes, yes. And so just to reinforce that, it is very important that as many people as possible participate in the meditation on December 21st at 6:22 p.m. There is information, including a link to the 20-minute guided audio for people to use for the 20-minute meditation on your website at 2012portal.blogspot.com, as well as on the welovemassmeditation.com website. So definitely check that out, and let's get as many people as possible meditating on that day. I would like to thank my brothers and sisters in Sister of the Rose for assistance and contributing questions to this interview. For anyone interested in finding out more about Sister of the Rose or joining a group in your area, please visit sisterhoodoftherose.network. So just Cobra, a very big thank you to you for your time today and for sharing the information. It is very much appreciated.
Yes, and thank you for making this interview possible.
Thank you. Victory of the light.
Victory of the light.